Hey, it's Jonathan. So I get this question, but it's never specifically asked the way I'm about to say it. It's just asked in all kinds of different variations. And so basically the question is, why is it as my company keeps growing, I'm becoming less profitable? Or why is it as my company keeps growing, I have less and less money? So let me give you some numbers first and set this up, and then let's talk about it. So there's a lot of reasons why this might be. The one I'm going to point out in this video I'm going to talk about is specific to overhead. So let me give you an example first, just to build up a scenario, and then let me talk through this. So don't get caught up in my numbers, don't get caught up in the numbers being perfect, don't get caught up in the math. It's just for the sake of an example. So let's say that you make $10. We could even say 10 bucks a year, however you want to think about this. You make 10 bucks a week, but let's use you bring in $10 in revenue. All right, so you start out in your company, you're out there doing the work, you're spraying the lawns, you're mowing, you're doing whatever. You make $10 today. So let's use a daily rate. I made 10 bucks today. Now, if I'm spraying lawns, I had $2 in material cost, I had some gas in my truck, I had a few costs, and so I had $2. So at the end of the day, I have $8 left over. So I made $8 today. That's 80% on my $10 in gross revenue. I made 80%. So good day. I made $8. All right, obviously it's not a good day, but just for the sake of math. Now, you start growing the company a little bit more and you start selling a lot more accounts, so now you need some help. So you still make $10 a day, but now you need somebody else to go do the work for you. So you're not on the truck, you're sending somebody else out to do this work for you. So now you have $10 in revenue for the day. You have that same $2 in cost as when you were doing the work, but now you have $5 in cost to send somebody out to do that job for you. So now you have $3 left over. That's 30%. 30% is awesome. That's a great margin. And again, oversimplification here. Then you start growing a little bit more. You get more accounts, you get a few more employees, you keep adding to it, and then you have to go get an office. Then you've got to maybe hire a salesperson. Then you've got to hire an office manager to work the phones. Then you've got to get an accountant, you've got to buy some computers, you've got to do a million different things called overhead. And so now that same analogy, you make 10 bucks for the day, you have $2 in cost, you have $5 in employee cost, but now this overhead, the people answering the phone, the cost of the office, all this other stuff, a truck for you, the manager, once you divide that out, you come out and you kind of figure out that it costs me with all this overhead that doesn't produce revenue. It's just overhead is what it takes to run and make the business function and operate. It's not producing revenue in my example here. Once you figure it out, it costs me about $1.50 a day in overhead. So now take that $1.50 out, so $10 and you made today, minus $2 for costs, minus $5 for employees, minus $1.50 in overhead, we've got 50 cents left over. That's 5%. Well, you can quickly see how in a business, if you price, for example, when you first get in business and you go out and you price a lawn and you say, hey, I can make a lot of money. I'm mowing the lawn. If I do 10 of these lawns a day, or if I spray 10 of these properties a day based on what I'm charging, I'm going to make a nice living. It's definitely better than a living I used to make when I worked for somebody. And then the business, because you're pricing your work really well, very competitively, and you're doing a great job because you're the guy, you're the owner, you're all invested, you'll do whatever it takes, business starts growing. But then you have to start having other people do the work for you. And they don't work quite as fast as you work. And there's all these other factors. And now you need to build some infrastructure in your business to support them, again called overhead, that you start adding all of these costs, but yet you're still pricing exactly the same way when it was just you and you had virtually no cost. And so you can't, with that old pricing model, absorb all of the cost in your business that has now been created to run this bigger business. So I think of TruGreen as being a highly inefficient business. I don't know, I've never worked at TruGreen, I could be crazy. Maybe they're not. I view them as being a highly inefficient company. Now, Why does TruGreen have to charge more money than most other companies, and even companies that are a good size? It's all because of the layers of overhead. It's the offices, it's the management, it's the layers of management, it's all the overhead. They've also become a real organization. They have laws to comply with. They have legal concerns. They have all kinds of business risk that they're trying to mitigate and eliminate. And so they have to put more people in place. They have to cover their butt. They've got to do more paperwork. Now they have to hire more people to do that paperwork. They have to make sure that they're doing their safety meetings because they don't want to get sued. They've got to make sure that they're taking every precaution with their chemicals. And this stuff just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up. And then also, as you get further down the food chain from the owner who was all in on this company, this is his baby, you bring in other people who are a little less passionate, work a little less hard, aren't going to do 70 hours a week because this ain't their thing. They'll work hard and they want your company to do well, but at the end of the day, they're not going to do what you were willing to do. Why should they? They don't make or have the potential to make the kind of money you have. And so you get a little less efficiency from all of those people, and that costs your company money. You can just see how all these little things add up. The point I want to go back to, and all of that's overhead, the reason that a lot of businesses get themselves in trouble is when they started, they priced their business one way. And yeah, they took a little bit of a price increase here or there, or maybe they only took a price increase on new clients. But you cannot generally follow your pricing levels from when you started your business or even a couple years into the business. Those levels have to evolve. They have to change and they have to go up. There's a reason that bigger companies price higher. They have to, because they have all kinds of overhead to run a company of that size. If you want to build a real company someday with a management team, maybe even a president that runs the company for you, you better price in a lot of overhead because it takes a lot of people to do that, to build that kind of a company. And so you can't operate off yesterday's pricing models. This is one of the dangers of a lot of guys that get into business is they don't understand up front all the costs that are coming down the road. And there's no way you could. You could have, if you read and think about it, yeah, you can project a few, but you'll never fully be able to project all future expenses. So given that, you want to, when you start your business, don't underprice the market. Do not price, if at all possible, from day one, just like you have all the overhead. That'll leave you more margin and profit to grow the company faster and reinvest. But price like the market. And I would at least at average market price from day one, in my opinion. That way you have the money there and your contracts and your work that you've already sold is priced correctly to allow you to grow. Because what happens is a lot of guys, they start and they have all these customers, they made a bunch of money, and as the company grows, they become disenfranchised with their original clients because they don't make enough money on them. So then they start to neglect them. That hurts your reputation. You don't want to do that. You don't want to play that game. So price it right, because later you only have two choices. You fire that client or you raise their prices. At some point, you've got to get your prices right or you'll never have profits in your business. And you'll wonder, why is my business not doing very good? Oh, it's all the low ballers. Oh, it's this, it's that. No, it's just that oftentimes you didn't know better. I didn't know better. We didn't know better. When we started our companies, we didn't know exactly how to price. And so we didn't price in all the overhead that was coming down the road to grow a real sustainable, great business. And so as your business grows, you've got to consistently reprice work, sell it at the right prices. You've got to pay attention to that. And then you might have to go back to old clients and raise the price. That's the only way around it. If you don't, you'll slowly put yourself out of business. And it's sort of an invisible thing that's happening because as the business gets big, it's really hard to figure out where the leaks and the problems and the holes are, where the underpricing is at. And so this thing creeps up on you. And so it's something to be very aware of. And this is how you end up with a low margin, low performing business that you'd like to sell or get out of at some point because it's not producing what you thought you could produce or what you experienced when you first started the business. And then chose to grow it bigger because you thought, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to make a ton of money. So that's how you look at it. And if you're aware of that, you can solve this problem or you can prevent this problem altogether as you grow. Good luck.